the origin story did a lot of work. We are from Cluj-Napoca. We have the engineering culture, the academic tradition, the cost quality balance of Eastern Europe, things like that. Those value point, unique selling point, were legible to a Western European buyer. They still are. They are
Mhm.
not gone, but they are not they are no longer sufficient because
Okay.
as you cross toward a certain level of complexity and size, of course, we know that the origin story becomes too small a container for the actual story that is happening right now. So if the brand would stay just a story about Romania, you would, I mean, the organization would have a credibility problem with the 70% of our revenue that come from outside Romania. So that's one very important aspect. And also, we are talking about the sense of belonging, a problem related to the sense of belonging from every college who joined us later on, and they had nothing to do with Cluj-Napoca or Romania.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we have to expand our story to involve everything that was actually happening. And what we wanted to reframe the identity toward a value-based and business outcome-based approach. So practically, we took our original values
Mhm.
and talk about them. And of course, we took the outcome based story and we are talking about it. When we say European by birth, international by culture, we are very proud from where we started. And now we are global. So practically, we are now working on a brand architecture that has locally inflected execution. So that's important for every one of our offices and all our colleges.
Welcome to a new episode of Value Driven Marketing Podcast. In this episode, we are following the journey of AROBS from a small Romanian outsourcing shop to a global technology group. What made this possible? What was hard? And what other companies can learn from it? My guest today is Andreea Marcu, Chief Marketing, Communication, and Sustainability Officer at AROBS, the largest technology company publicly traded in Romania with over 1,300 employees across 10 countries. Since joining AROBS in 2018, Andreea has been at the center of one of the most ambitious growth stories in Romanian tech. She leads strategic marketing across 27 business units in 7 countries, supported the company's growth from 500 to over 1,300 people, and orchestrated more than 10 company and product rebranding initiatives. She's also taken on ESG and sustainability as part of her mandate, which, as we'll discuss, is increasingly central to how global technology companies earn trust. Andreea is an ESAID executive MBA and someone who thinks seriously about the intersection of brand, business outcomes, and long-term growth. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you take as much value from it as possible. I'll catch you on the next one. Hey, Andreea, good morning. So good to see you and welcome to the Value Driven Marketing Podcast.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your invitation. Very pleased and honored to join you in your podcast.
And it's my honor, my pleasure to discover your story and AROB's story. So maybe let's start from the beginning. AROBS has started as a small company. We can say the true Romanian IT story. 10 people in an apartment in Cluj back in 1998. I think we can say it was a boom period for the IT industry as a whole in Romania. Many companies started around those times. But what happened is that lots of them grew up to a certain size, maybe 100 people, 200 people, and then they plateaued. However, this is not your story. AROBS continue to grow. You are now an international company. And so I'm very curious to learn what is the reason behind.
Yes, it started 27 years ago, and it started like almost like a group of friends. The technology version of rock group in a garage. What I think is the most interesting aspect included in your question is, in fact, what happened. Was there a point of inflection? Which was the moment that helped Arrow to grow further the other company that were launched at the pretty much same time? So practically, I would add another question to your question.
Okay.
So the question would be, what type of organization do you need to become in order to make an inflection point like that structurally repeatable? So practically what we or everyone must do to make this happening over and over again. Looking at AROBS from the inside, from my experience with them since I joined, there was not a single dramatic point or pivot. There were many of them. One silver lining among this inflection point is how the company prioritized depth of value creation over breadth of service delivery. What I think made Arabs different very early was their willingness to pursue industries with higher barrier to entry and even harder problem to solve. And they managed to achieve long-term partnership that matters most. And that means our teams are competing on trust, on rigor, accumulated institutional knowledge that will come only after years and years of deep partnership we built.
And I love that you said what sort of organization you have to become to actually overcome that barrier, because maybe a lot of people would assume, you are that company from day one, but you actually evolve, as I understand from your story. And I think that's an interesting point you're making.
It's a, it's a succession of challenges, of dramatic moments, if we want to use that word, and the way the organization overcome them and make the most of those challenges.
And you have a very interesting history, a lot of important milestones. I want to stop to one of them. In 2003, you went the route of also developing your own software products, which is something not many software outsourcing companies venture into, or when they do, they found out it's a very different model that they cannot sustain. However, your story is different. And so I want to know more about how running a software development business and running products at the same time has influenced the organization and what this has required of marketing altogether.
This is one of the questions that go directly to the heart of our strategic DNA. Their decision to build own products like Optimal first in 2003, and then TrackGPS, and later on UCMS, which has TrueHashare and DP Payroll as products, alongside the service line was more than just a diversification move. At that time, Arob decided practically to verticalize, to integrate their learning from different industries. Because when you build your own product, you face all the problems your clients face. The go-to-market risk, user adoption, competitive positioning, everything that one client need to overcome, you have to learn how to overcome it yourself because you have your own product. I'm convinced, everyone is convinced that we are a better engineering partner just because of that, because we are all the time on the other side too. So practically, right now, we have software products that deliver repeatable value to over 11,000 customers in Europe and Asia. I think this strengthens our brands as a company that ships things that works in real life. For marketing, this is a dual architecture that is both a complexity challenge, complexity, and a gift. The complexity is in the fact that we serve different types of client buyer journey. The enterprise procurement cycle is for software services for custom project takes a lot, like maybe over a year. At the same time, the software as a service style acquisition journey for telematics, let's it shorter, is fastest, is one of the fastest. But the gift is the fact that we have a much richer narrative. We are not just a body shop. We are a technology group that understand the full arc from bespoke engineering to our own product. And finally, now the narrative is even richer because we have three business lines now. We added integrated systems a few years ago, which is practically B2E project. And we have clients as the National Pension House, ministries of Romania, and several others. I think this is another great narrative angle. Our engineering excellence supports now digitalization with a very important end goal, to improve the lives of tens of millions of people, which bring us the story of a greater scope with bigger responsibilities. And that's very interesting for us, for marketing.
I'm sure this is an interesting journey. I do want to ask about your positioning, and in particular, not only are you in a competitive industry, but you're also serving very demanding customers in the most compliant, intensive sectors such as aerospace, medical, finance. And I'm wondering, was this a deliberate positioning choice from the beginning? Or has this been Arabs adapting to what the market was demanding?
It's about both. Their journey is a proper bookcase for demand side theories of competitive advantage that say that firms are shaped by the quality of the client need or demands. So practically, demanding clients ask for more rigorous engineering, stronger engineering, attractive more demanding clients. So particularly in the last decade, this became a deliberate competitive choice. But at the first was like, the demand from the market. Why now is a deliberate competitive choice? Because regulated industries, from my perspective, are the most sustainable industries. For example, medical device software is not going to be disrupted by a new social media platform. Or financial infrastructure is not going to be replaced or strongly disrupted by hackathon, or so it's going. I'm talking about the structure, the weight of those industry in whatever is happening in this world. That's why they will sustain practically forever, will sustain growth in their ecosystem. So from my point of view, company that anchor the business in a domain where safety, security, compliance are non-negotiable, that company is building a client base that is not going to disappear overnight, that has structural continuity. What this means for marketing is that our communication has to be about proof of excellence, but proof of responsibility, because we work with trust signals. Not just trust signals, but also capability signals, of course, but we have to show trust. We have to show that we are to be trusted. And we have to show that through evidence, certification, delivery track record, governance framework, our commitment to cybersecurity, our commitment to responsible AI. So practically what I see as a value-driven marketing approach in a regulated industry is about trust, not just technical proficiency. Our job in marketing is to translate this into the language of business risk reduction, of business outcomes, to create the long-term partnership confidence.
And this is a long-term play. You cannot win trust, especially in the aerospace. So working with the European Aerospace Agency doesn't happen overnight.
That also, yes.
So, Andrea, you spoke about AROBS positioning. Now I'm wondering, in terms of differentiation, AROBS plays in a very competitive market. There's intense competition from countries surrounding Romania. So a lot of talent in CE, in Poland, Ukraine, the Baltics. I'm wondering what has helped AROBS differentiate, and also how that differentiation has evolved from the beginning until now.
That's a very good question, because when we thought about our beginning story, that framing was a little bit limiting, because we are not just a Romanian company coming from Eastern Europe. Now we are competing as a global technology group with deep roots in Eastern Europe, which is different. What I'm trying to say here is that the fact that a Romanian software company competes on geography, on proximity, cost, time zone alignment with Europe, let's say like that. Meanwhile, global technology group competes on the quality of its intellectual capital, the resilience, delivery model, domain expertise, depth, credibility of the governance. So what I see now is the fact that AROBS differentiators are structural, not geographic. First one would be the depth of the sector knowledge and technology excellence. The second one is the duality we spoke before, services and product models, which give us fluency with full software products ecosystem for many industry and the life cycle itself of the software product. Third, and this is what I care, it is something that I care deeply about, our commitment to responsible growth. What that means, we are in 11 countries, but we are the same everywhere we are. So practically our sustainability reporting and our sustainability posture shows, it demonstrates that we behave the same. So we have the same structure, the same governance everywhere we are. And this is a structural value point for AROBS also.
Let's speak about 2021 when you decided to become a public company. So you are now listed on the Bucharest Stock Exchange. This is not just about financing, this is also about a power play, let's say. This is about positioning. How has this changed the way you do business, and what does it require of the marketing department as well?
Public listing, our public listing is one of the best stories ever from my point of view since working in AROBS, because capital markets are not just are a financing mechanism, of course, mainly, but also a discipline mechanism, a reputation mechanism. And in our case, when we listed as the largest technology group on the Bucharest Stock Exchange, it became a sort of representation mechanism for the entire category. Of course, there are several other technology companies publicly listed in Romania, but somehow we represent the technology sector now because we are the biggest. So our narrative, let's get back to narratives, change a lot. It's much more complex and very interesting, of course, from my perspective. So, of course, the financial dimension of what changed in AROBS is the obvious one. We had the IPO, we had the largest capital increase for a technology company, and we brought many institutional investors plus European Bank for Reconstruction and Development that unlocked a lot of resources to accelerate growth for M&As. It creates a pace of growth that couldn't have been reached just by cash flow and bank financing. So that's the first structural change that happened. Moreover, becoming a listed company brings discipline to governments, to reporting, and of course, investor relation. They become strategic function. So practically, what is happening? I see the changes building every day a new architecture of sustainable scale. So practically what is demanded of us in marketing, let's go back to marketing, and the communication team was a deep transformation, because when we are a listed company, your brand is not just a commercial asset. It becomes more than anything a financial asset, because we are talking about analyst perception, investor communication, ESG reporting again. That's very important. Everything has to create credibility. Everything has to build together with the new governance standards. That's why this credibility, the quality of our narrative in the capital market ecosystem, these are embedded in our marketing function in a way that require new skills and new frameworks, which is for me is captivating, and I love a challenge. So yes. So practically alongside our financial reporting, we have our communication, investor relation, and PR. Everything changed. I mean, upgraded a lot. And we have our sustainability report that is also a compliance document, an investor communication document, and the brace statement.
And it feels as if being now a public company has gone or has enabled, I guess, bigger players to trust AROBS even more, because being a public company is not something that everyone can achieve. It requires
Of course.
doing things a certain way, being a certain type of company, having certain capabilities.
Of course, we are talking about transparency here. So from a company, local, it doesn't matter, local, national, international, you become public, therefore transparent. Any client could just look for very detailed information about how we are financially, how we do in sustainability, how we communicate to the market. So we are very transparent. Therefore, I think we gain another great perspective where we can continue to build even more on the trust we talked before. So yes, this is a wonderful opportunity for us.
Absolutely. So speaking about becoming an international company, I know this has been a complex journey. You're on this journey still. But if you were to isolate a few success factors, like the actual mechanism that has propelled AROBS into becoming this international company that is today, what would you say those factors are?
Yes. When we started to grow internationally, I mean, I remember in my first week of work here, I needed to send a press release about our first international acquisition. That was the one in the Netherlands. And of course, I was extremely nervous, but that was the first moment, the first announcement that showed to the world, to the people watching us, we, a Romanian company, was something, a company in the Western Europe. That was one of the main inflection points. Following all those acquisitions, I think it's come here to our success factor. It's coming back to your question. I think we have local depths, not just local presence in the country we are working. There are different between just opening an office in a country and becoming embedded in the business system, ecosystem. So from my marketing perspective, we treat our offices as intelligent nodes, places when you learn how the market see, the client see, how decision I made, which are the general demand, regulation or not, the cultural expectation from us, practically around partnership, around decision making. So that's extremely valuable for us. Another success factor is the fact that we have a portfolio resilience through diversification across sector, but also geographies. So practically, our client being distributed across Europe, North America, and Asia, or in many industries, from financial services to life sciences, clinical trials, telematics, and so on, aerospace, if you mentioned that, because you mentioned that earlier. So this is a success factor because we had a deliberate de-risking of the business model against the volatility of any single sector, but also any geography. The practice is not just a de-risking of the diversification between software services, products, and B2G. We have also diversification across geography, which is a huge success factor and a good value point for our financial sustainability and our growth. And I would add something important from my perspective. We have cultural humility as a competitive asset. We call ourselves European by birth, international by culture, because we are we are not just a Romanian company trying to look global, we are a global company with roots in Romania. But what I'm meaning about this genuine cultural sensitivity is I think we have the ability to communicate differently, to adapt proposals, to adapt our rhythm in relationship, in the process of decision making. We have different expectations because we are eager to learn how culture bring us together or keep us separate. We have different expectation and communication to different markets, and that is a discipline that is actively built and maintained in my team, but group wide also.
And because you've mentioned acquisitions, so you've been through quite a few acquisitions, 13 more specifically, you've basically doubled in size. And so I'm wondering, how do you integrate different companies, each with its own culture, way of doing things, identity, and how do you keep the brand harmonious and consistent?
Of course, that's a very good question and a very complex one. I mean, when I'm thinking of this question, I'm thinking about the cost and the risks of cultural fragmentation. I mean, I like to analyze analyze when I'm coming to a new challenge or a problem to be solved. I'm trying to also analyze the cost and the risk practically in everything. So that's why I'm looking at culture as involving also cost and risk. So starting starting with the very first acquisition, AROBS approach has been to anchor integration in value commitments, in value alignment connected to business synergy. Practically, we acquire a company that in one way or another reminded us of ourselves. Similar goals, similar culture, and similar people profiles. Practically, all those acquisitions complete us business wise, but they also match us more or less culturally. Therefore, right now, our brand is an enabling architecture. So practically a shared commitment, a set of shared commitment. We, my team, and not in us that we are involved in the integration process, we do hope that our colleagues feel that the AROS brand is something that they want to belong to. So I think this is something more ambitious than just the brand consistency in the old school way, like everyone should use these colors and do this. This is important, but what about growing together as one arrows, like one culture? But there is a lot of work. It's not done. We have companies coming in Arab group every year, at least one or two or three. So there is a continuous effort to try to achieve this goal.
And of course, the brand is not just about, as you said, what it looks like, the colors and the fonts and what it looks from exterior,
Yeah.
but also about the values that support the brand, and those values live as long as people believe in it. So I love the fact that you mentioned you're buying companies that not only complement your business, but also you buy companies with similar kind of personalities and profiles. So it
Yes.
makes a lot of sense.
That's the plan. That's the big plan.
So if we are to focus a little bit on marketing, what would you say you as an organization, Arabs, had to fundamentally do different from, being a local company to now being an international companies with European roots, as you said? So how has that changed in the way you do marketing, in the resources you have to deploy, in how the marketing is structured?
Yes. So yes, it was a huge change, but somehow it was natural. You know, when I thought about your question, I had to think about it because for me it seemed like it was natural. So I had to go back and think about it. And what I think it was the main change was we had to stop thinking of the brand of us as a story about our origin, about necessary, we are coming from somewhere, we are from somewhere. When Aros was younger and a Romanian company with essentially a Romanian company with international client, the origin story did a lot of work. We are from Cluj-Napoca. We have the engineering culture, the academic tradition, the cost quality balance of Eastern Europe, things like that. Those value point, unique selling point, were legible to a Western European buyer. They still are. They are not gone, but they are not they are no longer sufficient because as you cross toward a certain level of complexity and size, of course, we know that the origin story becomes too small a container for the actual story that is happening right now. So if the brand would stay just a story about Romania, the organization would have a credibility problem with the 70% of our revenue that come from outside Romania. So that's one very important aspect. And also, we are talking about the sense of belonging, a problem related to the sense of belonging from every college who joined us later on, and they had nothing to do with Cluj-Napoca or Romania. So we have to expand our story to involve everything that was actually happening. And what we wanted to reframe the identity toward a value-based and business outcome-based approach. So practically, we took our original values and talked about them. And of course, we took the outcome-based story and we are talking about it. When we say European by birth, international by culture, we are very proud from where we started, and now we are global. So practically, we are now working on a brand architecture that has locally inflecting execution. So that's important for every one of our offices and all our colleges. Because consistency, I don't see consistency meaning necessarily meaning complete uniformity. Consistency, not uniformity. So because I mean it's pretty easy. A tone of voice that could sound trustworthy in Germany sounds cold in Italy. So practically, we have to stay consistent to our value, visual identity, of course, quality standard positioning, but we have to talk with everyone that is AROBS or partners of AROBS separately, finely tuned, so the communication and the brand is perceived following our value and following our really live delivered business outcome. Okay. So I have one more thing to add here. Maybe a surprise for our listener. And I'm going back to sustainability again. As I said before, our sustainability framework has become one of the instrument, the powerful instrument for brand coherence. Just because everyone can see that we are pretty much the same everywhere we are. So it's a document that talks about everything we do regarding our own workforce, environment, governments in all our locations. But that's coming back to governance, which I love. This shows our commitments, and I hope it will help us gain trust with clients, investors, and colleges, and maybe our future colleges.
And that takes, I think, someone who has strategically look at those things and then I'll be able to lead the team to execute them. Which takes me to my next question, which is in your role, which seems
Yeah.
like a very complex one because you manage marketing, you oversee marketing, comms, sustainability. In many companies, those are very different functions with separate teams probably. So what is your integrated theory of value creation through marketing? How does marketing create value? And how is this evolving now, particularly with the AI disrupting the way we do things?
I'm much more than ever convinced of the fact that the marketing model that will sustain competitive advantage in the next decade are value creation models. Behind the question of how do we get people in our funnel, we have the question how do we create genuine, sustainable value for every stakeholder who encounters our brand one way or another before, during, after any commercial relationship, commercial or investment relationship. What it what I think it means is we can do this. I mean, we can create durable value if we invest in continuous learning and education internally, but also externally. We have to try, teach, and educate communities and markets. We have to build thought leadership. We have to communicate things that makes AROPS relevant to everyone around us, that AROPS will be perceived as trustworthy and a leader in its own. We can create this value by treating sustainability and governance as marketing asset and communication asset that I said before, we talked before, because those and the conformity and all the system, because these are the signals of the kind of partner we can be for our clients, investors, our college, and so on. So I think this is, from my perspective, would be the main. I have another one. We have to ensure, but that's pretty basic. I think everyone have to ensure that the brand promise we make will be actually delivered and actually create value in our value chain. So we have to, I mean, companies have to see, they have to drop the narrow view of I am here and I need to survive or to grow some revenue. And we have to see our organization as part of ecosystem of value chain and having many stakeholders that each and every one of them can bring us value because we also create value for them.
I feel that recently where it's been more of a topic, conversation topic of how we create value rather than how we just acquire clients. Because if you do
Indeed.
first, the latter will
Yes.
definitely follow.
And you also asked me about how AI fit into this whole story of creating
Yeah.
value. I mean, I will start with some sobering data.
Okay.
And we marketing, we have to consider it to be aware of.
Mhm.
So I found out that only 23% of the client, the consumers, currently trust brand to use AI responsibly.
Okay.
And the consumer comfort with AI in market has fallen from, let's say, 57% 2023 to 46% the following year. So what everyone is talking about is a new concept called AI booing, the phenomenon where some or part of consumer actively penalize brand for AI use, which feels not okay, inauthentic, you know. So we
Mhm.
have to be considerate of that, and we have to be grounded in principles, and we have to take everything with a grain of salt. At AROBS, our position is grounded in the same principle we use for actually working with AI, with our clients, in our projects, our products. So AI is not the goal, but the business performance is. So us being the first company that was awarded the ISO standard for artificial intelligence management system last February by Bureau Veritas Romania, we as a whole, we have the standards certified that we know how to use AI in our day-to-day work and of course in building projects, software projects for the clients, for our clients. In the marketing context, of course, we use AI many tasks of productivity mostly, optimization mostly, for analytics sometimes, it depends. Translation, of course, of complex technical messaging, higher persona messaging, whatever. So as pretty much everyone is doing, I guess. We do not use AI where authenticity and human expertise are the actual value proposition, coming back to value, right? So all we marketer have to be aware about the goods and the best of everything, all the new technology will bring in our work. So if we are aware of the risk and we know how to mitigate them, we are fine. We are going to be just. I personally believe that in AI, regarding AI or any other technology that will just come up, you know, I think we have to have discipline and we have to have governance to protect the ethical standards and the reputational assets. Let's not forget about the reputation. That's enormously important
And we've had some examples of AI slop.
too.
I'm curious to learn, Andrea. So in B2B, we discuss a lot about, so you've been mentioning brand and the power of brand and the narrative and how this has evolved at Arabs. And I know in B2B, there's a lot of focus on the short-term demand gen and then the debate of whether, you know, you invest more in demand gen, you invest more in brand is an old one. And I'm curious to learn what is the right mix, how you see things at Arabs. What is the case with you?
That's the whole controversy. So practically looking at our business, we marketing and communication, we serve three fundamentally different commercial models at the same time. We have the software services. We talked about the dynamic, long sales cycle, relationship mediated decision. Brand is brand is the primary is for permission to enter. It's a thing here. We are talking about reputation architecture, so conference presence, industry visibility, PR, technical publication, partner referral. So that's pretty much what we do, more or less, not just that, but yeah, the second business line, software product, we have thousands and thousands of customers, is very much closer to a software as a service model. Short cycle, many digital touch points, stronger return of investment pressure on individual campaign. And B2G, this is another completely different story. We have to build trust, compliance, long-term relationship. Here, for integrated systems, so for B2G, the cycles are the longest.
Okay.
Every business line has a different marketing investment model.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot apply the same template for everything. It's very, very sophisticated. And of course, we have also the global dimension. So the internationalization dimension, which is another important layer. We cannot operate with a single template, the same step everywhere. So as I said before, we have a global architecture with locally inflected execution, and it's yes, the tools are the same with everyone. We have the same tool, but the approach is very much different. Tone of voice is different. The channels are different. The funnels is really different. We try to do the best for each and every business line.
Andrea, I do have one final question. So you've
Yes,
mentioned sustainability a few times. I know this is a topic close to your heart, and you look at it as being a strategic function. And I'm wondering, what do you believe marketing and growth leaders in Romania, but also Europe at large, marketing and growth leaders in tech companies need to understand about building for the long term? So building in a
yes,
sustainable way. Well, what are those things?
yes. Thank you for asking that. I
What?
mean, most of the people I talk to, they think there is a dichotomy between sustainability and growth.
Mhm.
They think that those two are somewhat in some sort of tension, that you can either grow fast or grow responsibly, not both at the same time. I think it's because most people see sustainability as built on only three pillars. It's the environment, social, and governance, with the old school ESG. When
Mhm.
we talk sustainability, we have to include something very important, and this is the finance driven core of sustainability.
Mhm.
Sustainable growth. Growth means money. So, practically, when you sustain the revenue streams, it's also sustainable growth. It's sustainable growth. So, that's why I think, I mean, it's a learning experience for everyone in our society or beyond. So, it's just needed to be talked more about it. Why do I include the finance part in the sustainability? Because we are talking about risk mitigation. You
Okay.
identify and price all the risk and reputational, of course, why not, to protect asset and capital.
Mhm.
You create value optimization, like from a short-term profit strategy toward resilient long-term wealth generation. That's a huge, very interesting aspect. You create capital allocation, like channeling private and public fund into businesses and projects that will sustain sustainable economic transformation and growth for the company and for the community. Compliance, another favorite word of mine, that's also lead to transparency, that will lead to trust, that will lead to more clients. And one very interesting aspect I want to talk about, for me it's interesting, I hope it's going to be interesting for you also, and for your listener. So I want to talk a little bit about the social return of investment. This is the KPI.
Mhm.
Technically, it's a financial KPI, but it's not very much used in, like, public discussion or private discussion. Is that this one measures how much social and environmental value is created for every euro invested.
Uh-huh.
So practically, they translate the non-financial outcome to monetary terms. So let me give you an example. So let's say AROBS, hopefully, AROBS built another national platform that facilitates some sort of national system, welfare, well-being, whatever. Now, after the end of the project, several million of people in Romania can check, update, manage their rights. They have rights in this platform, okay? Instead of going to an office and waiting for hours to solve problems.
Mhm.
Practically, the payment go without errors, fraud is caught early, public servants have time to focus on other things. People are generally doing much better thanks to this platform. Okay, what this means? The hours saved by the people, the hours saved by the worker in that institution, the social return of investment of this project means that you compare the cost of the platform with the social benefit the platform brings. So maybe the answer would be for €1 spent, we created €9 value for society, not for Arabs, but the entire project will create a lot of valuable, even transform into monetary, into euros, a lot of value. So that's very interesting for me, the social return of investment. Practically any company that grows will keep on creating social return of investment, not just doing, not out of by doing a national platform, but out of but by investing in some program from for student or just creating job, a company will create social return of investment.
So this
So
is, it almost feels as if as you're growing, you're also helping the environment grow with you in a way.
yes, society as a whole, or at least local community. I mean,
Yeah.
we from Ireland, we can say we want to be a responsible citizen in the community we are a part of. Now we are bigger, so maybe we can positively impact larger community, wider community. So that's it's one of the values of AROBS that I was very pleased to find when I joined them 8 years ago. It's about helping community growth one way or another.
Yeah, makes total sense. Andrea, thank
Yeah.
you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for going so in depth. I super appreciate you being here and learning about your journey. And I'm, cheering from the sidelines for yourself and for Arabs. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.